That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Green Lantern, Tales of the Sinestro Corps. So this is our final installment in the Sinestro Corps series. And this is worth picking up too. God, what's her name? Gotta figure out this character's name real quick. Lysandra? Hold on, sorry. I need a moment. God damn it. Lissa Drac. Keeper of the Book of Parallax. So you have her introduced here. And Dave Gibbons does the art for a lot of her stories. And she is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. She is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. She is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. All she does is she carries around the Book of Parallax. It's literally chained to her. And she tells stories about members of the Sinestro Corps. And that's really fun. So this is straight up my kind of stuff. These were basically backups that were running in the in different books during the Sinestro Corps War. And so these were just backup stories or just took over for an issue or whatever, depending on the length. And they're just fun. You just get background on these characters in the Sinestro Corps, and that's really, really fun. I really, really enjoy that shit. Dave Gibbons does the art here. He is a lot better with digital coloring. His art looks so much better with digital coloring. I don't know why, but damn, his art looks so much fucking better with digital coloring. It's insane. I kind of just think Dave Gibbons' art is okay in stuff like Watchmen, but my God, with digital coloring, his stuff looks amazing. Just fucking beautiful. I love it. Or maybe he just needed someone not to tell him every fucking little thing to do, like Alan Moore. Who knows? Yeah. So this is just like a, the main of this is just a bunch of single little one and done stories. And then we get a single issue called Fearful Symmetry that's Kyle dealing with being possessed by Parallax, like at the time, kind of the internal struggle. This issue is kind of out of place in this collection. I feel like this should have been in the main Sinestro Corps book, the main Sinestro Corps War collection. I feel like it's out of place here on its own. The Cyborg Superman story should be off on its own. That's fine. That is fine to be in this collection. What else? Then we get Superboy-Prime for his story. That one's just like, I don't like Superboy-Prime or Superman Prime, whatever. I don't think anyone likes Superman Prime. This does a fairly decent job of making him into an interesting character, though. Like, don't get me wrong, we still got a ways to go. He's still just this giant contrivance and yada yada yada, but this does a better job of making him feel interesting and compelling, and it also importantly gives you some context of why he's working with Sinestro, which is why I like that story. Get this little story about Jerry Ordway. Yeah, you do not draw Lissa Drac as well as Dave Gibbons. I mean, look at her there. Come on now. We have this story about Crib. How is that spelled? Kryb is how it's spelled, but this is the Sinestro Corps member, and there's a pretty good close-up of her. This is the Sinestro Corps member that hunts down Green Lanterns and steals their children. And she keeps them in a sack on her back. Wait, did I say hunts? I said steals their children, right? Yeah, she kills Green Lanterns and steals their children. And so it's obviously meant to be pronounced crib, like a baby's crib, but it's spelled Kryb. So just clever writing there. And there's some aftermath stuff. We get a bit with Kyle adjusting to not being Ion and getting to talk with Sodom Yacht, and that was a fun issue. Just nice, being cool. And then there's this like very, very extensive section. I'd say that's a good fourth of the book. That is just an encyclopedia. And I find that, it's just a nice little thing. You get, stuff that explains who the Guardians are, what a space sector is, different locations and things about the Corps, what the science cells are, what the power batteries are. And then you just get tons of little bios about different random members of the Green Lantern Corps. And some of them are really interesting. Some of them are kind of cool. Some of them are just fun and they're just being silly. Here goes nothing. There's sector 118's Green Lantern. Drizziker! This is like a character that is mentioned in the Alan Moore Mogo story as one of the Green Lanterns that can't attend meetings. And Drizziker is a biosentient mathematical equation first discovered by the mad mathematician Tim Ray, who sought to prove that willpower could be derived formulaically. Drizziker has been known to invade the brains of his enemies and erase them, a subject of much debate across OA. I just like that. It's just silly. But it also, more so than Star Trek even, it kind of firmly cements Green Lantern as possibly harder science fiction than other things like Star Trek and Star Wars. Like the Force is kind of always just described as, okay, it's magical, so whatever. It's essentially a magical element in a scientific universe, even though they try to explain it later, and no matter what you say, it's stupid. And then in Star Trek, it's much closer to theoretical possibilities, but that's not really what it's trying to be. It's trying to just use the idea of traveling faster than light as a conceit, and they have an in-universe explanation for it, but it doesn't bear weight on what we actually know about reality. Whereas with Green Lantern, we've been told the rules are every single living being in the universe generates these bioelectrical impulses that are on the spectrum, the emotional spectrum, will being the most centric because it is the fundamental driving force behind any action. So if you're mad at someone, if you're feeling rage and you want to punch them in the face and you do it, you first have to will the ability to do it. That's why will is the fundamental driving force and why it's the most stable of the emotional spectrum. So it has internal logical rules like Star Trek does for warp stuff, but whereas Star Trek tries to explain their science with something that's much more, that's factually provable as that shit won't work, mixing matter and antimatter is just an explosion. There's no containing it. This just, okay, here's this new set of rules that exists in this universe that doesn't exist in any other. And it's actually scientifically measurable, apparently, according to that universe. So just stuff like that. And there's, different things for different characters. I really like this whole Tales of the Green Lantern Corps stuff. I really wish they just would keep putting these out just on their own. I love this kind of stuff. Honestly, you can certainly just pick up the Geoff Johns omnibus, or just pick up the 2 volumes of Sinestro Corps War. You don't need this, but this isn't a bad thing to pick up, and it'll help you if you're interested in getting into Green Lantern. It'll help you familiarize yourself with the Green Lantern Corps and who everybody is, and it's got some really kick-ass art in it too. And this one took me a long ass time to read, guys. Oh, we get a cool story about the Green Lantern Gravekeeper. That was neat. I really like that story too. Sweet little, bittersweet story. Get some information on the entities, get some information on Star Sapphires, on the Guardians, and then we get some sections on just different members of the Sinestro Corps. What was the member that I really liked? No. There's a 3-headed twin. That was funny. I'm not finding it right now. Damn it. Crib. Yeah, you just neat stuff. I really like stuff like this. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just a taste thing. But I do feel like if you're just generally curious about Green Lantern and the whole emotional spectrum thing, this isn't a bad thing to pick up just on its own without the wider context of the Sinestro Corps War. There will be the Superman Prime, the Cyborg Superman, and the Ion story. Those 3 issues will not make any sense to you without reading the Sinestro Corps War. But the bulk of this will stand on its own just fine. You'll just understand, okay, Sinestro started his own corps. Everything else is explained in the story itself. So you're fine. And you can just enjoy that on its own. So this, I wouldn't recommend starting with Green Lantern here, but if you're just looking for some, quick little short, fun stories, I think this is worth getting. $15. So, I'm sure you can find it cheaper.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.